I was standing in the middle of a New York City bus during a thunderstorm, and it was crowded. I couldn't move. And just as I couldn't move, apparently the bus couldn't move either, and we sat there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, and people started to get frustrated. What are we doing? Why can't we keep going? I need to get someplace. When suddenly the bus driver took a step to the bus, put his hands around his mouth, and said, "Everybody move. It's a wheelchair." There was a unified sigh of relief. Okay, we're going to keep going. We're all fine. And I looked out the window and saw the ramp going down at a dramatically slow pace as the wheelchair rolled on and settled in its designated handicap spot in the front of the bus. And I thought to myself, every person on this bus has the mental image of a wheelchair and just that coming on. And I stepped on my toes and I looked at this wheelchair and I saw a man in a suit and a hat. He looked like he was coming from something like a date or an interview, something important. What was wrong with what the bus driver said? Yes, it was simple, straight to the point, but the essential flaw in his speech is called non-person first language. And what I want to talk to you about tonight is the exact opposite, called person first language. Now, person first language is when you take the person before any other describing factor that you may have put before, but now is after. Non-person first language would look at someone like you as a pink shirt person, and you as a black suit person. But that sounds strange. Why would I define you by what you are wearing? Person first language switches it and turns it around and says you are someone with likes and dislikes and every other piece to your puzzle of human existence, and you happen to be wearing a pink shirt. And someone like you has capabilities and disabilities, likes and dislikes, and every other piece to your puzzle of human existence, and you are wearing a black. You are more than what you are wearing. And that person first language at its simplest form sounds like it makes sense. It's salient, because why would I define you by what you are wearing? Beyond person first language simplest form, there's 3 categories. The first is situational based, the second is illness, and the third is special needs. Within the category of situational based, person first language, you take the person before any other situation and experience that they might have gone through. And this reminds me of this past summer when I was volunteering at the food bank, and I was part of an assembly line. I was giving out plums, and the people next to me, they were giving out chicken, turkey, rice, apple juice, and so on. And to me, everyone in that line looked like a group of homeless people. Nothing was different, nothing was unique about them. But as soon as someone came down holding their plate and said, "I want that turkey and I don't want the gravy, and I want the rice and I don't want the apple juice," and the woman next to me, the volunteer, says, "You will get whatever I give you." And the man was taken aback. I was taken aback. He can't have a preference? At that moment, person first language stepped into my mind as a person first perspective, and I was able to see every person in that line as an individual who happens to be homeless rather than the other way around, a homeless person. Because just as if I want the chicken and I don't want the turkey, and I want the rice and I don't want the apple juice, it's fine. But if you don't want the apple juice, oh my gosh. But that doesn't make sense. Person first language sees that person and says, you can have a preference. Just as person first language is crucial in seeing eye to eye with others who have different situations than all of us, so too within the realm of illness. Non-person first language within the category of illness would say that you are a depressed person, a schizophrenic, a bipolar person, a cancer person, a dementia patient, and so on. But person first language turns it around and says, you are someone with likes and dislikes and every other piece to your puzzle of human existence, and you happen to have depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, cancer, and so on. You are more than your illness. And I was recently reading a book by Lucy Greeley called The Autobiography of a Face. And Lucy Greeley describes her experience going through childhood cancer, and she actually had half of her jaw removed and a scar going up half her cheek as a result of it. And Lucy Greeley talks about how she always wanted to be special. She always wanted to be unique. But this was not how she wanted it to happen. She didn't want to step into society and have everyone at large look at her as just someone who has half a jaw, as someone who went through cancer. She wanted her achievements to matter. Lucy Greeley wanted to live a life of person first. And I was recently talking to someone who is living with multiple sclerosis, and she told me that her biggest fear is not the physical ailments that have already occurred in her lifetime and will continue to occur, but rather her biggest fear is that one day, everyone in her workplace will know that she has MS. Now, she has climbed the ladder to success in her profession. She's at the top. But the moment that everyone knows that she has an illness, that she has MS, is the moment that she gets downgraded. People start pitying her. Why are we listening to her speak? Is she even an expert anymore? They start questioning her legitimacy. And Person First Language steps in and says, you can be someone who is at the top of your profession and have an illness at the same time, and that's okay, because you're a person first, you're a human being. Just as Person First weaves its way through the category of illness in a crucial way to see eye to eye with others, so too within the realm of special needs. Now, the category of special needs is the one that's closest to my heart. And non-Person First language would say that you are a person who has special needs. You are a special needs person. You are a disabled person, a wheelchair, a Down syndrome person, an autistic person. You are your special needs, and that's it. But Person First turns it around and says, you are someone with likes and dislikes and every other piece to your puzzle of human existence, and you have a disability. And you have Down syndrome, autism, and so on. When I was about to turn 10 years old, my mom gave birth to a baby boy, and this baby was sent off to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia for a number of weeks. And in those weeks, I would step into school, and people would put their hand on my shoulder and look down into my eyes and say, Arielle, your brother, he's a special needs child. It's a struggle, it's a challenge, but your family will be okay. And I looked up into their eyes, and I had no idea what they were saying, because to me, my brother was perfect. He was a baby. And a few weeks later, my parents sat my siblings and I down and said, your brother Chaim has Down syndrome, and we will treat him like everyone else. And I thought back to that time when the people put their hand on my shoulder and looked down into my eyes, and I thought, those people were pitying the life my brother had not yet embarked on. They put special needs before him, before he even became a person. And it wasn't until a few years later, when I started to embody the motto that my brother had Down syndrome and I will treat him like everyone else, that I found myself as a teenager in a classroom. And I was sitting on one side of the room, and the rest of the girls, they were sitting on the other. And I listened to their conversation, and it went as follows. Oh my gosh, did you see that Glee episode last night? The Downs girl, she ruins the show. The Downs girl, and the girl next to her says, yeah, her eyes, her mouth, her stutter, she just ruins the show, that Downs girl. And the conversation kept going, and finally the last girl says, why did God create special needs people to begin with? And I sat on my side of the classroom with tears going down my cheeks and my heart hurting. And I thought to myself, what is wrong with what they are saying? Yes, they are uneducated. Yes, they are naive about the world's ability. But the essential flaw in their speech is non-person first at its essence. Because if they had the thought process of person-first perspective, maybe they would have realized that you can be a person and have a disability and still act on a television show. You could be a person with a disability and do anything. You can be a person with a disability and live in life just like all of us. And I sat on my side of the room, and I wasn't able to speak up and say what I'm here to say tonight. This is Chaim. He's 11 years old, and he's on a basketball team, a football team, a baseball team, a ice hockey team. He's in a typical classroom. Sometimes he wants to play with me, but sometimes he says, Arielle, you're annoying, and doesn't want to. But that's okay because he can have a preference. And with all of that, he has Down syndrome. But the Down syndrome is only a part of the piece of his puzzle of human existence, just like all of us. Chaim lives a life of person first because my family looks at him that way. We look at him as a person before his disability. He's a person. He is Chaim. Person first language allows for meaningful relationships and communication to occur with those who were originally too different. They were over there, but now they're here, face to face, eye to eye, and they're the same. Person first language allows for that person in the wheelchair to be more than what he is riding. It allows for someone like Lucy Greeley to stand up and have more towards her accomplishments than the fact that she has half a jaw. And finally, person first language allows for someone like my brother to stand up and say, my name is Chaim and I am more than my disability. Person first language. Person first language. Thank you.